91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. No Time. Gail Ann Dorsey from the album, your first solo album.
My first solo album, The Corporate World.
Recorded in London.
Recorded in London, England. I think I got signed to Warner Brothers in 87. The album came out in 88, 1988. Had a pretty good run in the UK and in Europe in terms of, certainly had a lot of great critical acclaim. There was a magazine called Q Magazine that was a big music magazine. I don't know if it's still out. I don't know if any magazines are actually still out on the shelves anymore. But Q Magazine was the music magazine, and pretty much in the 80s and in the UK anyway. And I got a 5-star rating, which was a really good
great rating
on that album.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Absolutely. I always pride myself. Anybody that ever listens to this show or recording a little bit regularly, they know I always do these like grandiose introductions of my guests, and this is probably the first show where I was not knowing what to write. So therefore, I do things very organically, and I just want to tell listeners, if you're not familiar with Gail Ann Dorsey, just a little bit of her. She's my guest. We're here. We're going to talk for like an hour, or however long she'll have me here, or I have her here, or whatever it is, but more of like she has me here. So until she says, Rita, I'm going home now. It's snowing. Goodbye. So I came across Gail Ann Dorsey about 15 years ago. There was a benefit concert at that time. Haiti had this horrific earthquake, and Gail was at this benefit concert at the Rancliffe Hotel. And I had no idea who she was. And she was standing there with an acoustic guitar, and she was just playing music. And I had me like stop in my feet, just like, wow, who is this? And I was totally focused on this woman. Her presence, her music, her voice, just everything. She just like captivated me. Like, who is this? And then I found out it's Gail Ann Dorsey. And there she had a couple of CDs, and this one CD, and I have it with me today in my hand. It's from her 2003 release, Gail Ann Dorsey's I Used to Be. It's a solo album she came out with. I bought it that night because I was just so enchanted by her, and it's like the cover's off. It's not even held in anymore. And I equate, as many times as I've played this, as probably playing the first album I ever bought, which was Tapestry by Carole King. So Gail Ann Dorsey, to me, is my modern day Gail Ann Dorsey versus Carole King, same like genre for me. Wow. In the meantime, to find out, after doing a little research about Gail, she has is having quite an extraordinary career. She has performed with Brian Ferry, Lenny Kravitz, B-52s, Tears for Fears, The National, Gang of Four, Indigo Girls, Ani DeFranco, Jane Siberi, and of course, maybe most known as being the bass player for David Bowie from 1997 to 2013. We are so lucky that we have such a wonderful talent on this planet, but yet right here in our little bubble of the Hudson Valley. She's actually lived in Kingston longer than she's lived anywhere. Yeah, amazing. And I just I also want to say a quick thank you, and then I'm going to start letting Gail do some chatting. Most of you know I had a benefit concert for 2 local nonprofits last month, and Gail was gracious enough to play. And all the artists that night donated their time. And we collected a nice sum of money for Sparrow's Nest and for People's Place. And there were few people there that had never seen Gail and came up to me afterwards like, who is it? Like I did the first time I saw her. And so, folks, if you're not familiar with Gail, take a listen. We're going to keep playing her music, and we'll be talking. And just, I'll stop rambling. But this is how I do. I gush over this woman. I just absolutely adore her. Welcome back to LocalMotion, Gail.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you so much.
It's funny.
I appreciate it.
It's funny. It's funny. It's the way things are. And really woke up this morning like, yes, it's going to be a good day. So, Gail, let's go back to This Is Your Life. You're from Philly.
I'm from Philadelphia originally. we were talking before the program started about, I have lived in Kingston now for 30 years or so, which is longer than I've lived anywhere. I left Philly when I was 17, and that was in 1980. And, went to college and moved on from there. But lately I've been very kind of, nostalgic about Philly, or just feeling like I feel it was such a great time in the late 60s and throughout the 70s to have grown up in West Philly. The music was just it was an incredible time for music in general.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think Philly is one of the most important cities in the United States for music.
Mm-hmm.
Right up there with Detroit or New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco or whatever. All these cities have had their own kind of movements in music. But Philly was quite an influential city in terms of, disco and R&B, and was just a great city, a great time to grow up as a kid, loving music, dreaming about being a musician, wanting to, just enter that world.
So you're the youngest
happy.
of 5.
Yep.
And your mom had the radio on, I guess?
Yes, she did, always. She was just like me. I'm like a radio lover. I have a radio in every room in my house.
Love that.
I mean, like a real radio with dial, and
Yeah.
not necessarily an internet radio.
Right.
My mother always had the radio on in the kitchen. You're getting ready for school, having your cream of wheat or your breakfast, whatever.
And what'd she listen to?
She'd have just the general AM radio station on, which would give you the news and the weather, and then whatever was kind of popular on AM radio. And that's where my first real love of music that I really enjoyed, in terms of hearing the Carpenters and Olivia Newton-John and Carly Simon. There was a kind of genre of music that was on AM radio that was
Carole King.
That was different. Carole King, of course.
Yeah.
Carole King,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
So I really loved that music. I loved when you heard Karen Carpenter's voice come out of the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how could you just not? It was just like what
Angel,
what
like
is
an
that?
angel. Yeah.
Yep. Her and Olivia Newton-John. I always used to say, if this is, if an angel is singing, it's gonna sound like this. I couldn't, think of more beautiful voices. So I was very much influenced by that kind of. The Fifth Dimension was another one. Roberta Flack.
Oh yeah.
Great
Roberta
singers.
Flack. Yeah.
Marilyn McCoo, one of my favorite voices ever.
Yeah.
Dionne Warwick, doing all the Bacharach stuff. All of that was really my early influences. And then, my siblings were a little older, so they were kind of into a bit more rock, and, the crossover rock that was like the rock bands that were kind of crossed over with soul, which were like Rare Earth, or a band called Cold Blood, and there were these bands that were they were rock bands, but they were funky. Even Chicago had they would play some of that stuff on the R&B stations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just just so much music all mixed together, and the genres were blending together, and it wasn't so kind of segregated musically as I think it has come to be, certainly in this country, in terms of what you hear on the radio.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
music in school for you?
Music in school, yeah. We had music. I took clarinet lessons in school.
Love that.
It's the only thing I ever studied in terms of music, because I can't read music, but I can read it on the clarinet. I can't read it on the guitar.
Is absolutely
I
amazing.
understand what it is, but I can't apply reading the dots to the guitar, because I had learned by ear. I play guitar and I play bass and everything by ear. So I wouldn't be able to look at a sheet of music and read the notes and apply it to the instrument. But on the clarinet, it started that way, because you were in school and they give you, you get your clarinet, and then you start your lessons and you get the song book, and then this note is that, and then this. So then, mostly classical musicians or jazz musicians, I think you associate with reading and studying in that way.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that I can, maybe not. I don't know if I would how much I'd remember. Because I don't play the clarinet that much anymore, but I still have one.
You still have one?
Oh, yes, I do. I bought a new one a few years back.
Oh, wow.
Just to,
Yeah,
if anything, it's good for breathing.
Yeah.
to
And
play
it's
a wind
nice. It must
instrument.
be really nice to be able to just be like, yeah, let's pull this out.
It's
you know?
yeah. I did play it on a Bowie album once on a song
Clarinet.
called yeah. We did this album that they re-released a few years ago called Toy. The album was called Toy. It was something that that was never released when we did it in the early 2000s. And then, since his passing, they've been putting out a few box sets and different things. And they released this album, which I played clarinet on a song called The London Boys.
Wow.
It was really funny. But, school had music, which was wonderful.
And then at what age did you you picked up a guitar first?
Guitar was what I always wanted to play. It's my favorite instrument in the world. I don't know why. There's something about the guitar when played a certain way, and certain guitarists who I loved growing up that would play something that, to me, the guitar expressed something really, really deep in me. And when I would hear a solo from Brian May and Queen, for example, or or Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad was one of my favorite guitarists, and I would just be like, that's how I feel inside, but there's no words to describe that. Only when I hear that guitar, it's like they know. It's like the Roberta Flack song, he Killing Me Softly. With it's like you're playing something that I feel deep inside, and so from a young age I thought I have to learn that language because it's another language other than words. The words can't describe that feeling I have, but when I hear that guitar solo, it reaches right to my very core, and I was like, I have to be able to speak that way because that's a language I seem to understand that resonates with me. Yeah. So that was like since I was like 3 or 4 years old, I was like, I want a guitar, I want a guitar, I want a guitar. And I finally got one for my 9th birthday.
Oh. Which, by the way, happy belated birthday. You just celebrated one in November.
Did last month, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, guitar was just...
You got an acoustic guitar.
I had got an acoustic
guitar. What were
you
first trying to learn how to play?
I was trying to learn Rufus and Shaka Khan records.
Whoa. Whoa.
I know.
That's pretty impressive.
Like those little funky guitar riffs. And I was trying to learn Joni Mitchell, which took me years. And then finally realizing as a teenager, oh, no wonder I couldn't learn these songs. They have different tunings. Like that. When I finally discovered that, it was like a huge eureka. I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I can't figure out how she gets those chords because the guitar is tuned a whole different way. So that was like, that was a big discovery at the time. But yeah, I was trying to learn how to play, just riffs from Led Zeppelin or whatever, like just everything that every guitar kid wants to learn how to play. You try and learn the chords to Stairway to Heaven.
Pretty impressive. This was obviously way before the internet to learn without lessons and to be self-taught because that right there is a talent all on its own because, no one's showing you. No, you're not watching anything and watching someone. You're just listening.
That's it.
Yeah,
just that vinyl, the needle on the record, and
keep moving it,
and you keep go back and forth and try and hear it and figure it out, and it's it's a good way of learning. It's a beautiful form of concentration, and focus, and what I'm feeling today, that is probably the most distressing thing in my life. Actually, even I'm feeling a little bit this way. It's really hard to focus anymore. Because of how much we are bombarded with information, we don't have enough time. We are, our people work hard. Well, in this country anyway, people work so hard, and there's so much time that is spent just sort of surviving in a sense. Even for young people, just getting through all the things that have to happen, with technology, and they might be good at it. But it's also developing a brain or a mindset that is that doesn't allow for contemplation, more contemplation time, more time to focus. As myself and a lot of my other musician friends, I mean, even Lenny Kravitz is self-taught the same as me.
Really?
Yeah, he's not a reader or anything. He's exactly the same.
Wow.
So, and there's a few musicians I've worked with who are that way. That I would think they went to Juilliard or Berkeley or whatever, and they didn't. They learned the same as me. They just figured it out.
Right.
And you learn from other musicians too. That was another thing.
Going to see live music.
Going to see music, and the more that you play with other musicians who maybe do read music or are better than you, that's how I learned to pick up those pieces along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would get a job in a band, even a local band, maybe not even a job, just like, okay, I'm going to play with these guys. And he knows some new chords he's going to show me, and then he shows me some new chords, or she shows me another, kind of thing that you can do on the guitar when you move your fingers this way. And I'm like, oh, I never thought. So that, you slowly learn by playing with other musicians, which is what to me music is all about.
Sure.
You can't always do it in a vacuum. You can spend your time learning and kind of focusing on your ability, your technique, or whatever, or your ideas. But then ultimately you have to get out and work with other people.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that another thing that I've discovered actually with technology today, of how much you can learn on the internet, and you can see, they can have an online course, and it can be an avatar or a virtual person or whatever that's teaching you how to play. And I've seen some, anyone can look and see these young people who are just unbelievable.
Prodigies.
I mean, they're playing.
Yeah.
They're young. They're playing amazing things on guitar and bass, and that I will never be able to do, ever. But you take them out of their YouTube video or their TikTok, away from the phone and away from the computer that they're playing their tracks along with, and you put them in a room with 2 or 3 other musicians and say, now let's make something happen. Make the Eagles. Make a band. Make something like. And they don't know how.
They don't.
Because the
human connection.
The human connection is essential for
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
It's essential to create the atmosphere and the things that move us with music with other musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is a skill. And that I'm grateful that I came up at a time when I got that side of my education.
You sure did.
Because without that, you can solo till you're blue in the face, and you can learn as many scales and impress people with your speed and technique. But if you can't make music,
right, what good is it?
It's a very different thing.
Yeah. It's like, what good is it? You've obviously made your career, most of it, I do believe, as a bass player. And that happened how?
That was a total accident, because guitar was everything my whole life. And I went as a teen. I was about 14, and I had been playing guitar since I was 9. And I wasn't great, but I wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I find some old cassettes of me with my bands from the basements in Philly, and I'd be like, I was trying.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
But
cool.
I thought I was at a point as a guitar player where, when summer break came from school, that I could go and find a band that was actually going to make some money. Mm-hmm. Because, you're 14, 15, you need to have your pocket money in the summer. You're getting too old to ask for the allowance every day. So I was like, what can I do? I don't want to go and work in making sandwiches or something. I want to go and play guitar in a band. So I think I'm good enough to go out. I go to the music store, the Sam Goody's, where they used to sell records and instruments. I mean, the music stores were where musicians hang out. That's where you go. And the record store as well. Those 2 places were where you met people and other musicians, and you hung out, and you got
there are flyers all over the place.
Flyers.
Band wanted. Or
that's it. There was a huge bulletin board when you came in, and there was index card 3x5 cards on there where everybody was saying what they needed and what they didn't need. And so I got to that bulletin board, and I'm looking for a band that's advertising for working, that has some jobs in the summer. I'd say 90% of that board were all guitar players who were looking for bass players or maybe a keyboard player. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my gosh, everybody's already a guitar player. Nobody needs me. Nobody needs a guitar player, because it's all guitar players who are trying to put their own band together. So I thought, here's one for bass, and it says Top 40, Rolling Stones, Bowie, Cream, like all the things I listen to. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna go for this one because it says they've got jobs in the summer, and I know all those top 40 songs because that's I'm on the radio. I listen to the radio all day. I'm going to go for a bass gig, because I had a little band that with two guys that lived across the street from me, and I was playing guitar.
What was the name?
We were called Twilight. I think first we were called Cyclone or something like that, but then Twilight. Yeah, and then it became Twilight. And with Tony and Ricky, and we used to rehearse in my mother's basement. So Tony's drums were down there, and Ricky's bass was down there. And when they'd go home, sometimes I'd go in the basement in the evening and play around on the drums and play around on Ricky's bass. So I thought, the bass is easy. I can do that. It's 4 strings. I'm going to go for this job and see if I get the job. So I say to my mother, if I get the job, will you buy me a bass? And she's like, oh boy, here we go. And she was sure I wasn't going to get the job. And she said, okay, yeah, if you get the job, I'll buy you a bass. So my older sister's best friend had a boyfriend. My older sister at that point would have been, if I was 14, I've got terrible math. She was 7 years older than me, so she was 21. So her best friend had this boyfriend who played bass. He had a Rickenbacker, I remember, really nice bass.
Yeah.
And so I borrowed it, and I went on that audition, and I got the job.
What?
And I was only 14, and the guy who gave me the job, who was 18 or whatever, he was kind of like, well, you're a little bit too young, but, you can, because some of these places we're going to play, maybe you're not, they have a bar or whatever.
And you can't come in.
Well, we used to make deal with the bartenders in some of the clubs in Philly that, they'd freak out at first, and they'd be like, if the cops come in here and they see that kid on the stage, we're going to lose our license. And so you come out and you play your 30-minute set, and then she goes right in the back. We keep her in the back until it's time to play.
Not allowed to be visible.
So I'd be like in some, room in the back waiting to play when the other guys could hang out in the bar and everything. But, it worked.
Sure
did. No one lost their license, thankfully. And I got my experience. I learned how to get up on a stage and play with the guys. So bass that's how I started on the bass. Still didn't take it that seriously until later on, when I was in my early 20s and just before I kind of left the U.S. to go to London in search of my fame and fortune.
You were in
I was in New York City.
You were in New York City, but you also first went to college.
Went to college in L.A., outside of L.A., Valencia, California Institute of the Arts for filmmaking. Mm-hmm. I love filmmaking. I still love film. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'll ever be a filmmaker. I had aspirations of being a screenwriter. That was my main thing. I enjoyed writing stories, and then directing them. So I had a full scholarship on the screenplays I had written as a teenager. And I went there, but then I realized after just 1 year, 3 semesters, I did the first year and I started the second year, and then I dropped out in February. I said, I don't have the temperament to be in the film business. It's a certain temperament that takes a certain kind of person, and I don't have those traits.
It's good that you recognize that.
Yeah. It was painful at first because, it was obviously a very sexist business, very chauvinist. And
especially at that time.
This was 1980. I was the only female in my freshman class.
Really?
The only female, which really blew my mind.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in the freshman class of 80 at the live action department. So the guys were not very nice to me at all, and they just didn't even give me at the time of day.
What I had take you seriously, I'm sure.
No, they didn't take me seriously, and they didn't really want to interact with me. No one, filmmaking in that course was in the beginning. You have to learn everything. You have to learn how to load the camera. You have to learn how to shoot the camera. You have to learn lighting and editing. Just a little taste of each of the procedures of filmmaking,
Makes
even
sense.
if you're not going to go into that particular field in the film industry. So, you have to work as a team, and no one wanted me on their team. The guys were like, oh, what? And funny enough, just by accident, I was really being excluded, and I would have to go to the dean, and I'd have to say, I'd be crying. I'd be like, they're not letting me participate. I can do it. And he's like, you have to be tough. You got to get. And I was like, but I'm not tough. I'm not that. That's what I mean. I was slowly learning that I'm not pushy enough. These guys would, they would put their mother under the bus to get their movie. They would do anything to do their art. And I was like, that's not the kind of industry I think I'm going to fit in.
And then you're like, I'm done.
So I said, there's got to be music because, film is beautiful, but it is a long process and it involves so many people. And so what you put into it, especially in the screenwriting, because you're the first, you're the seed, and then you write a story, and then you have to get it made. You have to get all the other things, ducks in a row, to actually see this thing on a screen one day. It could be 10 years, it could be 6 years, it could be 20 years before somebody makes your movie.
It's a lot.
So you get nothing back, I felt.
Where did your love of writing come from?
I don't know. I think from just my imagination of wanting to be somewhere else. I loved movies because they took me somewhere else, and I could dream of a story, and I could put myself in all of these places, and I loved the idea of creating a world outside of where I was, basically. I didn't want, I always wanted to leave Philly. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to do different things. So I used to write a lot, and I was always good at writing in English. I'm terrible at math. Oh my no! Maybe that's why I never could read music very well. It's very mathematical, and I just can't get my head into that.
And that's
terrible with numbers. So,
but you're beautiful with words and
words. I love. Yeah, I like
your
reading.
songs too. I mean, when did you first start writing your own music?
I think I probably wrote my first song that was called the Swing Song. I remember it. When I was like, I don't know, 10 or something, 10 or 11, with like the 2 or 3 chords that I really knew,
right?
C, G, A, or D, or whatever. And it was a song about escaping. It was a song about I used to ride my bicycle up to the Cobbs Creek Park, and there was like a little swing set, and I used to like to get on the swing for hours and just sort of daydream and look at the sky and whatever, and that was my little safe place. That was like where I could kind of be anything, do anything. I could dream
as
anything.
Big as you wanted to be.
Yeah, and so I wrote this song about being on the swing, and
I like that.
I was going to be the kind of star of my own show.
Well, you certainly are that now, my dear. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we are talking to Gail Ann Dorsey today. I'm your host, Rita Ryan, here with LocalMotion on 91.3. We are broadcasting live from the campus here at Vassar College. And so you leave film school, you come back to New York. For a short period of time, right?
Yeah, well, when I left film school, it was like, okay, now it's music, and that's it. No more distractions.
And was it going to be bass, or was it going to be guitar, or wherever you got a job? It was just
going to be guitar, back to playing guitar and singing and writing some songs. But I knew how to play the bass. So what happened in the 80s, after I left school, the 4-track cassette tapes were invented. The Tascam or the Fostex 4-track. Like, you could get a machine, put your cassette in there, and make 4 whole tracks on the without. So you could make demos. Demos were like a big thing in those days.
Everybody's sending
their demo tapes to somebody. And so, I had some friends who had a 4-track or an 8-track cassette, player, or maybe even a reel-to-reel. And I started making demos. So I could play the bass on my demos. So it was just a thing. Like, okay, I can, I got a bass and a guitar. And then I was like, okay, I can, and a drum machine. And that's how all my first demos were made. So you had the little Dr. Rhythm or whatever. I think I still have it.
Really?
The original drum machine. I don't know if it works anymore, but I have that same little tiny Dr. Rhythm. Wow. And then I would play bass and make up these demo tapes. And I was just trying to get a record deal in New York. I was working in record stores, which is kind of the only other job I've ever really had in that way. Working in record stores and meeting musicians and trying to write these songs, and going out to the clubs, and being in New York City in the early 80s was very exciting, in terms of like that kind of young energy of like kids and artists doing things. You could afford to be there then. Now it's difficult, but there was a way to kind of afford to kind of get into that New York City creative energy that everybody now looks back on with nostalgia in some ways. Yeah. But I wasn't getting any luck because, like this first song I played, No Time, it's like my music wasn't exactly like what black music, and this was something that I've discovered with most of American radio and stuff, and even after I got record deals and started making records with labels, is that in the U.S. they really want to put you in a particular place. It's like if you're black, you belong in this category.
Genre.
You know, it should be sounding like R&B. Maybe there's a few exceptions, but people were like, "Oh, we don't get it because it's not like, you know, it's not what I should be playing or what they would think I would be playing." And I liked rock music. I also liked R&B. I also like folk. I also like country. I like all of it. So I don't see. To me, it was like you know, an artist makes music as an artist. It doesn't matter if the song they're writing is a country song or if it's an R&B song. It's still the song that belongs to that particular artist. Right. And I don't think that anyone should be limited to what kind of, you know, mood strikes them to, or what kind of genre that is best going to express the song that they want to write.
Sure. Yeah.
And I remember hearing an interview with Joan Armatrading, who's one of my idols, who is a black British artist. We all know Joan Armatrading, or most of us will know who she is and what she's accomplished. And someone said to her, you said, "You know, you don't really do black music, Joan." And she said, "But I'm black and I do music, so it's black music."
Mm-hmm. It's just
period.
Not what you think it to be.
Period.
Yeah.
It's like, so, you know, if you want to, you know, if you want to put a color on it, it's like, okay, you're saying I'm a black artist, so I should do black. Well, what is black music? It's whatever comes from a black person or an African American person or an African person. It's like, it's just music.
Right. Right.
And I felt that, you know, I had an opportunity to go to London, and when I got there, it was like, oh, the doors opened up because they had a different take, and still do, I think, in Europe. I've worked in France a lot recently, and it's like there's much more of a melting pot there. There's not so much, it's not about, oh, this is a black artist, so they need to go over in that section, and then people will understand it. It's more like, what's this person doing? That's a cool song. She happens to be black. He happens to be from, you know, Jamaica. They happen to be, and it's all about the music.
It is.
And it can all mix together. And actually, I think in the U.S. in the 70s and 60s, it was more that way. If you look at the top 40 that was in, you know, 1968 or 1973, the top 10 songs were all over the place.
Yeah.
It wasn't just rap, or it wasn't just this kind of sound. It was like you'd have a song, a country, you know, have a Glenn Campbell, and then the next song would be Marvin Gaye.
Right.
And then the next song would be like some silly song from, you know, who knows.
Right, like a one-hit wonder or something. Yeah.
And then you'd have
it was all over.
Yeah, then you'd have the Carpenters.
Right.
Then you'd have the Partridge Family.
Right.
And
now
then
it's so different.
And they were my favorite, the Partridge Family. And then after that, that was my first album.
Really?
Partridge Family album.
No way.
Oh my God, I love
You must have
that.
loved the show.
I'm thinking I'm going to cover one of their songs.
I love this. Oh
no,
my gosh.
those are great songs.
I
Those are
did
great.
not know this. This is new.
No,
Partridge Family.
was, yeah, they're my. They
Oh
were,
my
yeah.
gosh.
No, I love the show. I have the whole DVD
Come on, be
collection. I still
happy.
watch.
Is that the
Come
Partridge?
on, Get Happy.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
But David Cassidy was a great singer.
yeah.
The musicians who played on those records, the Wrecking Crew,
Mm-hmm.
Hal Blaine, Carol Kay, you know, all those. Those were the people who were making those
Making
records,
these
and they were immaculate.
Yeah.
They were fantastic.
100%.
Great,
100%.
Great, really beautifully written songs, and you know, they were hits. I Think I Love You, or I Can Feel Your Heartbeat, or any of those songs. Great songs. I'll Meet You Halfway. One of my favorite songs.
Man, I haven't thought about the Partridge Family in quite a while.
No, really good. David Cassidy is really an underrated singer. You know,
Amazing.
Great pop singer. One of the greatest. But anyway, you know, that's.
So then you get to London, and your whole world kind of changes in London.
Because they were interested in those demos that I was making. They were like, oh, that's cool. And
you got signed in London. What you were trying to do in New York happened for you in London.
Happened for me in London.
And you stayed there for a while.
I stayed there. I lived in London for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I came to this area, first to Woodstock in 94. And
This was new to me when
Yeah.
I was, catching up on doing some research. Here we are. I always talk every time I see you about Carole King. You're friends with her daughter?
with Louise, yes, her firstborn, Louise Goffin, who's a great singer-songwriter
Had not
as well.
known that until I read the Chronogram article by Peter Aaron.
Oh, that's right. I've never met Carole, but I think I talked to her on the phone once. Louise and I lived in London at the same time. She had gone over there and she was doing a solo thing. She had an album out. We met on a session for the Gang of Four. It was Andy Gill, who was the guitarist on the Corporate World album. He's on a few songs there. Sadly he's passed away. I went to do a session for a Gang of Four, and Louise was there. And we met, and then we became friends. We had a band together called South of Venus.
Wow.
We did we used to hang out a lot. I got her the Tears for Fears. After I left, she went into Tears for Fears. But Louise, she's still my friend. She started a foundation, and I've done 2 retreats with her foundation, a songwriting foundation, the Goffin King Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing songwriting retreats all over the world.
Wow.
I've done one in Joshua Tree and one in Memphis, which was really great, a week in Memphis. When she gets young people together to just write songs all day. It's really, really cool.
Oh, I bet.
But Louise, I never met her mom, but I did speak to her once on the phone, and also I have an autograph from her mother. I had a Carole King CD, and I said, will you get your mom to autograph this CD for me? And when she brought me the cover back, she just went, to Gail, from Louise's mom.
Oh, I love it.
Lots of love. And
I
I thought,
love
that's
that.
even better.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Love that.
It's
Love
on my
that.
wall. But yeah, Louise is a good friend. So
And she's the one that got you here to the Hudson Valley.
Well, actually, it was Sarah Lee. But yes, it is Louise, because Louise was friends with Sarah Lee, who is one of the original bassists from the Gang of Four and also from the B-52s. She's the bassist on Love Shack. She's on all the Indigo Girls, their big records, Swampophilia.
She's amazing.
And everything. Sarah's my best buddy.
Yeah.
Sarah, Louise knew Sarah, and the Indigo Girls came in to play in London. And Louise called me up and said, hey, you got to meet my friend Sarah, who plays the bass. I knew her in New York back in the early 80s, and she's coming through town, so they're playing tonight. You want to go? I said, yeah, let's go. So I go, and I meet Sarah Lee at the Indigo Girls concert, and then we become friends.
Wow.
And I find out that Sarah Lee lives in this place called Woodstock. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, there's a load of musicians up. So I came to visit her here because at that point, I was just sort of thinking I was interested in coming back to the States just to see what the energy was there. It's been
and this was mid-90s
This
at
was
this point.
early 90s. And it was like, yeah, I'd been there for almost a decade in the UK. And it was like, let's see what's going on in the US. And maybe things have changed or whatever. So I came to visit her. She was living in Glenford.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she's like, oh, there's Jerry Murata, or there's Tony Levin in the grocery store. And I was like, what? All these amazing musicians are living up here in the woods? I was very much a city girl. And she was living next door to John Ashton from the Psychedelic Fur. It was like, wow, what's going on? So I was like, okay, if I'm coming back to New York, I really don't want to be like when I was 19 and I'm in a sublet in the one room in the 5-floor walk up. And I just didn't want to deal with all that again.
Right.
So I said, well, okay, maybe I'll move to this area, to the Woodstock area where all the musicians are living. And it's a hop, skip, and a jump really to get to New York City. I can get there and do sessions. I can still, be connected to the city.
And airports are all over.
Airports are all around. It
Right.
was just seemed like the perfect location. And so here I am now, 30 years
30
later.
years.
So it was Sarah Lee and was Louise inadvertently introducing me to Sarah Lee.
Well, thank you to both of those ladies. That brings you here.
Yes,
Amazing. Amazing. You've had, you also came out with more solo work. You were in London when you did the Rude Blue?
Rude Blue, I was still in London. I did record the album in New York, though. I recorded it at Platinum Island, which doesn't exist anymore, downtown on Broadway.
And then right after that, it was Tears for Fears for you.
Pretty much, yeah. I remember I did Sophie B. Hawkins. I toured her first album, the album that had the big hit, "Damn Wish I Was Your Lover."
Okay. All right.
Because I remember I was doing Rude Blue when I met her in the city, and then that album finished, and I was like, yeah, I can jump out and do this tour with her. Yes, I forget about these things. Actually, I forgot about. There's a few people that slipped in there that I've forgotten about. Yeah, so I was still, I still had one foot in London. It took me, kind of a couple of years, the whole transition to say, okay, now there's nothing left in London,
Right.
because I had a flat to get rid of, and I still had little bits and pieces. I had to get all my vinyl back across the ocean.
That's
took
important.
All my records with me.
That's important.
Yeah, and I was here after Rude Blue. I came back here and started with Tears for Fears.
And how did that happen? How? I mean,
Yeah, well, I was I had another friend named Adele Berthet, who's a great musician as well as now a really acclaimed and great writer, like of novels and she's just finishing a book on Sinead O'Connor.
Oh.
But Adele was a singer. She's on the Thomas Dolby Hyperactive record, and on I think on some other songs of his, like Dissidents or something. There's some other songs she was on at one of his big albums. Adele was a friend of mine I'd met in New York when I was 19. I've known her since I was like 19 years old. She was part of like the kind of gay, lesbian, gay, punk kind of scene there. She was in a band called The Bloods, which was an all-female band. They had a great song called Button Up. And she had worked with, she's from Cleveland originally, and she had worked with, Para Ubu or something. Like, she was in that whole kind of scene with television and all those kind of bands, And so she's extremely knowledgeable on music, but she's also an incredible singer. In fact, she and I did all the backing vocals on Rude Blue together.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
She sang with me on that album. But Adele got the gig with Tears for Fears to do the tour for the Seeds of Love album that had Oleta Adams on it. She was a backing vocalist on that tour. Her and another woman from New York, Bitty Strawn. And so Adele was, she also had her own album. She was in London, back and forth in London in the 80s. She did an album on Chrysalis. And so Adele, there was a party at Roland's house after one of the shows, or so. It was like a Christmas party. So I was invited. And I went, and that's when I met Roland. And then when he had a falling out from his other partner, the other guy, and it was a duo pretty much, he called me. He was like, "Oh, I've just done this whole album. I'm not with Kurt anymore. We had we're not speaking at the moment for whatever reason. And I want to go out and tour this album." So I ended up touring the Elemental album with Roland.
Wow.
Just meeting, I knew him from
Right.
London, from having hung out with him at his house a couple times.
Right.
I think Louise knew him as well.
Right.
And then Louise, actually, when I left to do Bowie, Louise stepped in and played guitar and stuff in Tears for Fears as well. I kind of brought her into that.
Love the Bowie story, because
Oh my
I think
gosh.
the last time you were here, he had heard you or saw you on TV.
Yeah, that's it.
While he was in the hotel room in London.
That's what he said.
Tell us.
No, he told me that he was watching television, and it must have been when I was doing the corporate world, promoting that, because I was on TV a lot at that point. The record label had me out on all the whatever the TV stations were that you went on to promote your stuff, and there was a lot of them in the UK at that time. I don't know. I just was serendipity. It was a lucky moment for me. But whatever I sang or whatever I did, he said to me, he was flipping channels, and I was on, and I sang a song, and then I talked to the host, and then I did another song. And in his mind, he just said, when I'm doing the right project, I would love to work with this woman one day.
But he didn't
she
contact
seems
you
very
right
interesting.
then and there.
Oh, no, 6 years later or something.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm at Roland Orzabal's house, Tears for Fears, the other half, the one half of Tears for Fears, And I'm at his house because we were actually writing songs for what would have been my third album, which is I Used to Be. We were writing some material, and I was going to do a solo album that maybe he was going to produce, because he had just had a big hit with Oleta Adams, that Adams album after the Seeds of Love tour. So I'm at Roland's house, and that's where the phone call came in. Bowie tracked me down. He called my manager, and they found out where I was, and they gave him the number, and he calls me there. And I'm thinking it's
and you didn't get a heads up from anyone.
I had no idea. And I thought it was somebody playing a joke on me that from London. You know, I knew so many English people. I thought, who's putting on the accent and pretending they're David Bowie? And he's like, no, love, it's really me. It's me. And then in retrospect, I'd come to learn that, yes, if he hires you, he calls you in person. And if he fires you, he does the same, which I have huge respect for.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists don't want to do that.
No.
They get the manager,
they get
and then
to
you
somebody
get this
else.
sad phone call from a manager. And
So when did you first meet him after that phone call?
Not until rehearsal of the first day of rehearsal.
Wow. Where was that? Here in the U.S.?
It was here in New York City. It was at SIR. I guess it was that place.
And what was the first album that you
It was
with?
for the Outside tour. This was 95 that I did that tour. He called me in the spring. I want to say it was March or May. And rehearsal started like at the end of September, or beginning of September.
6 years. I'm still blown away.
I know.
By the fact, like, he didn't even someday I'll call you. No, like, didn't say hello.
No, well, he kept, he was like that. I mean, I came to learn that he was one of the most intelligent people I have ever met. He had a brain that could hold so much information. He was like a walking encyclopedia, even deeper than an encyclopedia, because he could not only remember things, but he had some kind of interpretation about them, So if he saw something, it would stick in his brain, and he would know when he was putting his art together, when he was making an album or putting a band together or whatever creative project he was doing. He had the incredible foresight to be able to see exactly the right people to place to put in on that project to make it be what he wanted it to be. And I think that is one of his greatest talents. And he actually explained to me one day that he said, making I'm paraphrasing, but basically he was saying when you put a band together, it's the same as like a director casting a movie. If the director puts exactly the right actors together to create his vision, his or her vision, that's the work. Then the work is done. The director's work is done. Then they don't go in there and direct a movie.
Right.
They've already done it.
Right.
The direction comes from knowing exactly which elements. Basically, it's like a painter. Which colors you envision the project, what you want it to be. Of course, things change. That was another thing about Bowie. He was like, it's always open to interpretation as it goes along. But if you put the right people together, the right combination in a band, it's the same. Your work is done.
Do you remember the first live show with Bowie?
I don't remember the first live one in detail, but I remember that period of time. I was so terrified.
Was it a U.S. tour?
It was U.S. We were playing a double show with 9 Inch Nails.
Wow.
So there was that extra dynamic in there too. And I actually wasn't very familiar with 9 Inch Nails at the time. And it was a time when Trent Reznor was not maybe at his best in terms of substance abuse and depression and a bunch of stuff apparently he was going through. So there was like this real heavy rock star dynamic going on in there with his band. And then suddenly I'm in David Bowie's band with not only just him, but also like these names. We were talking about reading album covers and stuff, from like how many album covers of Bowie I'd read where I saw Carlos Alomar's name.
Wow.
Or Reeves Gabrels or, Mike Garson. And I'd be like, I'm in a band with those names that I read when I was 14 years old or 13 years old, but I'm in this band with those people who, to me, I thought I'd never even meet in my lifetime, let alone
stand on a
stage and make music with them. For someone like David Bowie, it was just a dream. It was. I still think about it, and I just don't even know how that happened.
Well, David saw something in you that stayed in his mind for 6 years, because he, I'm guessing, met hundreds of musicians in between seeing you on TV and making that call 6 years later.
Well, what he was doing at that time, like he said, when I'm doing the right project, I'd love to work with this woman. She seems very interesting.
And he wrote down your name or put it up there?
He remembered it. And then when when he was going, okay, here's the Outside album. Who do I want in this band? He must have then somehow something about me or whatever impression. And I will also come to know that also in those 6 years, he would have followed me a little bit.
Yeah.
He might not have known me when he first saw me on the television in London.
Right.
But after that, he would have kept one little eye on just kind of what I was up to.
What you doing now.
So he probably would have seen a few things and went, okay, yeah.
Still like it, yeah.
Yeah, good, whatever. And so, I just got that, by the grace of God, was blessed.
If it wasn't for that TV show, that would have not happened, likely.
Yeah, likely. I mean, unless it's just sort of, fate. I mean, who knows why these things come to be, really.
So beautiful.
Especially when you don't, it's not something you're after. It's not like I was writing him letters and going, I'd love to be in your band.
Or sending him demos or anything like that. It was just organically.
Yeah.
I do want to just tell listeners, again, we're talking to Gail Ann Dorsey here. Look up Bowie and Gail Ann Dorsey. And I have to mention the Under Pressure.
Under Pressure.
And you had a couple of weeks to prepare that?
I had 2 weeks to figure out how to play bass and sing it with him at the same time. That was quite a...
How fun
was
was
that? Early in as well as during that 9 Inch Nails tour, and he came into my dressing room one night and one day, I don't remember, and said, asked me how I felt about the idea of doing Under Pressure with him the way he'd done it with Annie Lennox for Freddie Mercury's memorial concert.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I don't know. I said, how am I going to do it without, who's going to play the bass when I do the Annie Lennox part? That was my first, I remember saying that. And at that point, I was still early on, so I was really scared to talk to him. Even he always got nervous when he walked in the room. I was thinking, "What have I done? Am I good enough? What have I done?" So I just, and he just said, "Well, you're going to play the bass and sing it at the same time." And I don't think I said anything except I don't know. I think I just went. I don't. I'm sure I probably said, "I'm not sure if I can do that." And then I remember his answer very clearly, and I can still see the look on his face when he said it. He said, "I'll give you 2 weeks." And then he just kind of smiled, like he just knew it was going to be fine, and walked out of the room.
He knew.
He totally
He knew.
He 100%
He
knew.
would not have put that on you if he wasn't 100% sure of it.
That I would rise to the occasion. Mm-hmm. And he continued to do things like that for the whole time I've worked with him. I feel like he was such a great mentor in that way. He was never, he challenged all of us who worked with him in some way. And maybe not even a challenge in a negative way, but a way to say, grow. Try something else. I think I can see that you can do that. He saw some things in me I never thought I could do. And that is the greatest gift
Anybody
I think that anyone has ever given me in my life.
Yeah.
Is the chance to
If you're out there and you're listening to this, please do yourselves a favor. After our conversation is YouTube Gail Ann Dorsey with Under Pressure and David Bowie. And you'll have it on repeat like I think I did when I first found it, and just blown away by it. And I love the way that in that video David looked at you.
Yeah.
and the way he introduced you.
He was proud of me.
And
It
he
really
was.
nice.
It was like his little cherub was there, and like you sounded like an angel. And I know Freddie Mercury was a huge influence.
Queen of my favorite band of all time.
Right. And so to be able to, where was the first time you did that? Do you remember what
I don't
stage
remember
that
which
was?
Stage. It would have been somewhere in the U.S. And I just don't. I've done so
Too
many
many shows.
I really.
I know. I bet.
Maybe if I look back at some journals, I might find it if I happen to be journaling at that time. But I don't remember those very specific details. I can remember some things at certain concerts, but when they all just go in a row, it's hard to just
to remember where, when, what
night.
city.
But I do know that I think the city that he asked me, I think somehow I want to say it was Boston or somewhere. I don't know, somewhere in the northeast. Mm-hmm. That much I can vaguely remember. I'm probably wrong, but that's in my memory. And 2 weeks went by, and he didn't mention it again. So I just went off and started practicing. Because
he obviously doesn't forget anything.
Well, I wasn't going to, you don't say no to him when he asks you to do something. No. You just don't. So so I thought, even if I screw it up, at least he'll see I've tried. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I can't go in there and say, no, I can't do it.
Did you rehearse it first?
I rehearsed it on my own,
That's it?
Well, no. Well, then sound check came up one day, like 2 weeks later, and it was time to do a sound check before a show. And I remember, and that was when he turned to me. It was almost exactly 2 weeks, and he said, "So do you think you're ready to try Under Pressure yet? It's been 2 weeks." Because he said, "I'll give you 2 weeks, right?" And I was ready.
Love it.
I didn't know what day that was going to come, but I was like, I gotta be. I don't know, and he's not. And I kept thinking maybe he's forgotten. Maybe he won't mention it. Sure enough,
I don't think so.
And he did it in that same kind of cheeky way of like, "You think you're ready to try it today?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay."
And you nailed it.
And it got better over the years, but I don't know if I nailed it on the first time.
Well, listen,
I did it well enough to
where he wanted it in
to
the
where
repertoire.
it stayed in the show. It was in every tour I did after that.
Yeah,
we did it.
That says everything.
So I obviously.
Says everything.
I got there.
She's a superstar. I have to do a quick legal ID because we are on live radio, which is just a beautiful place to be. You are tuned into LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR, independent radio, Poughkeepsie, New York, broadcasting live from the campus at Vassar College. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, perhaps online at WVKR or on the dial or on TuneIn, however it is that you find yourself here today. It is Christmas Day for me because I have the guest of Gail Ann Dorsey here in the studio with me. And, Under Pressure, just absolutely amazing. Just wow. I don't watch it very often anymore because it's like one of those things that I want it to feel so special every time that I do, that it's just like almost fresh and new. Do you ever listen and watch it on YouTube or
once in a while?
That's it.
But yeah, not very often.
Yeah.
It's the same if I haven't seen it for a long time and I see it, or even if I hear it, I'm like, wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was a moment, and I'm just grateful that particular performance was captured on the reality DVD. I've done it so many times. There's different clips on YouTube from different periods, but that was the ultimate.
That was the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the one. You also played on David Bowie's final album, The Next Day.
Next to the last album. It wasn't the...
That's right, Black Star.
Black Star is the final album.
Right,
and the one before that was The Next Day.
Right.
Which I had a track that I wanted to kind of play from that today because, often when I have done a radio or something, like most people want to play, and I think we've done Under Pressure here before.
Yes.
So I was like, what other Bowie track that's something that's not actually a very big commercial song at all, but one that I love my bass playing on it. I love the song. It's called Atomica.
Well, you know what? I think we're segueing right into it.
I think so.
Let's take a breather and let's play this by David Bowie.
Let's get Atomica.
Okay, here, 91.3 WVKR. 91.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Not sure what just happened, folks, but you know what? It's live radio. So let me just say, wait a second. We're here and we're going to do this. And I was playing the wrong track. So anyway, again, live radio. Let's take a listen now. This one really will be David Bowie on 91.3 WVKR.
Such a conviction, dripping all the walls with the blood.
Okay, so we are going to, I don't know what's going on here because you see what I'm doing. Every single one of these is coming up as, wow, isn't that strange? Because that was like really here, his. Yeah. Wow. Unofficial video. Should we try that? I don't either. But look at it. It all says it. The next day, extra. Wow. Maybe the next day isn't on here. Here, wait. This. Let's just see if it is.
At your heart, and on dark nights when
This is something to investigate further a little bit because, I mean, yeah, isn't that strange? Because every video that we're pulling up has this name, has him, but it's probably go here to, yeah, and let's just see. So, yeah, let's see. Thanks for your patience and understanding. And for me, this is quite the lovely thing of when live radio really does happen at its finest. So let's see if this works here, right here on 91.3.
I'm just a rock star stabbing away. I take the lead for another day. I'm Marvin Scholar, just let me know if I sing too much. When you're head over heels and the magic is there, but impossible. Possible, impossible. Oh, please take me away. Possible, impossible. There wasn't you, it was Mother's Day. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get atomic high. Let's rock till we explode. to swim in that covered up pool. Impossible, impossible. By the white trees dressed in purple too. Let's get that show on the road. Let's get Atomica. Let's rock till we explode. Let's get Atomica, babe. Let's get that show on the road. Let's get Atomica. Let's rock till we explode. Let's get Atomica, babe.
91.3 WVKR, and we finally found the right track there that was called Atomica.
Yeah.
You tell us, Gail. You tell us. You,
No,
of
I
course,
love
played on it.
I played bass on that. It was I just love that song. It was on this sort of bonus tracks or the extended version of the Next Day album. And that was an interesting album because it was the first album he made after we'd done the reality tour, and he had some health issues. So he just disappeared. He stopped touring, he stopped making records, and it was almost like a 10-year gap just about. And then suddenly, just like in the beginning, I get a phone call out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, what you up to?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this, that, the other thing." And he said, "I'm going to go make another album, but under the condition, if you want to be a part of it, it's under the conditions that you keep it 100% secret. You can't even, I don't want you to tell your family. I don't want, if your lover, your dog, your anybody, no one should know about this record. And I'm looking at the moment to find a studio in the city where we can do it in private. And I've got, and then he would call me sometimes and go, "Oh, cover was blown. Somebody told,
Really?
we were going to maybe do it at Alicia Keys' studio or so-and-so studio or so." And then somehow it would get leaked.
Really?
And his reasoning was something that I still, again, it goes back to this whole internet world that we live in, and that I really am having a hard time with these days. But is he's like, you can't do anything now without everybody knowing what you're doing. And if he's like, I hadn't made an album in 10 years. If I announce that I'm going in the studio to make an album, everyone will be talking about it. They'll wonder what it is. They'll want to know what I was doing for 10 years.
Paparazzi will be outside.
There'll be a whole thing that happens around it. And he's like, I just want to go in there privately and make this record and then put it out like you used to do in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
No one really was saying what they were doing, and suddenly you go, "Oh, there's a new Bowie album. Oh, there's a new Fleetwood Mac. Oh, there's a new..." It would just appear.
Right.
They'd be in their world creating this record. Maybe they would be making video of it or, documenting it in some way. But it wasn't this whole thing. Also, he said, of being leaked.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes at that point, people were making songs that get leaked out on the internet, and then they wouldn't even be able to pull them back.
Wow. Wow.
So he was like, I'm not taking the chance of anything getting out into the world until I'm ready to put it out into the world.
Him.
Not a single thing. So
he worked with Tony Visconti.
Tony
right?
Visconti was on that record,
Yeah.
And I actually was working with Lenny Kravitz at the time, and I think Olivia Newton-John as well, the same during that
Your
time.
idol.
My idol, yep. That was my favorite.
Did you
job
gush
I've
when you
ever-
first met her?
That was my favorite job I've ever had my whole life. Because that's when you're a kid, and I
Right.
guess you're like real, like with the posters on the wall and everything. I loved Bowie, but he wasn't that for me.
Right.
I understood the magnitude of him and
Right.
the genius of him, and there were certain records of his that I just thought were the most amazing things, and still think that have ever been recorded. But he wasn't like my idol.
Right.
Olivia Newton-John was.
So
Grease
Grease and the pictures and all of the
Xanadu and
Yes.
and all the country, like everything.
Yeah.
Please, Mr. Please, Jolene. I mean, all those songs. Anyway, so
See?
but I was working with Olivia, and And actually, Bowie would laugh at me. He would be like, "You're a strange bird," because that was not a genre that he liked in particular.
Right.
He wasn't big
Right.
on country music, and like Barbara Streisand or whatever. He said, He said, as long as I live, I never want to hear her version of Life on Mars.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right, right.
So that
Yeah.
wasn't. He used to laugh at me and go, "I don't understand how you can love this music when you do all these other things." I'm like, well,
Yeah.
but in a sweet way. It
Of
was like-
course,
it was
of
sort
course.
It was
Right.
in
But he
a
must have
loving
been
way.
kind of amazed at like how you did love all of it and how diverse it all is. And
Yeah,
and
he
you know,
was.
there's nothing that can tie you down to one
No,
genre.
still, I don't know. Well, why should it?
Yeah.
Why
There's too
limit
much.
ourselves? There's too much great music out there. in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I couldn't. I didn't play on all of the Next Day album because I couldn't tell. I had other gigs. I had Lenny shows. I had something to do with Olivia. So Tony Levin actually stood in on. He's on the other tracks on that album that I'm not on.
for David
Playing
Bowie.
bass
Yeah.
for the Next Day album.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm not on the whole thing. I did come back in, like he would call me and say, "Are you around next week? You come and do some vocals or something." I said,
Oh.
"Oh yeah, I can come in next Thursday." And so I came back and did a bunch of backing vocals on some stuff. But it was an interesting album to make, and I was so happy for him that he achieved what he wanted.
Yes.
No one knew it was coming,
No.
and all of a sudden, boom, a single came out.
Yeah.
I heard it
Yeah.
on DST. I remember waking up, and I
Aw.
was like, "Oh my God, it's coming out!"
Aw.
Because I didn't ask
You-
him when you're
right.
putting it out,
Right.
what's going to happen.
And he didn't tell you all
he
of a
didn't
sudden.
tell
it was
anybody,
just like,
and I never asked. I never was that person. I was like, okay, I just come and I'm just excited he's called me to do anything again, and I just do my job, and then I go away, and I think that might be it.
I think he loved you, Gail. I think he loved you.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
I loved him very much too. I think he very much felt like he was proud of me too.
Yeah.
He used to come to my solo gigs in the city, like at the
Really?
Bottom Line, and
Really?
yeah, when that was open, it was a great place to play. But yeah, during that period with him, I was still every now and then doing some solo gigs, and
Yeah.
he would come out and see me
I love
if
that.
I was playing in town. He'd
Did
put
you
his
see
baseball
him
cap on, and he'd sit
and just
the
come
back.
in there nonchalant.
Yeah, bring me a
and-
flower sometime.
Oh,
come to
oh,
the
come
dressing room, tell
on.
me I'm
Oh,
doing good.
Oh,
No, he was in my corner. I appreciated that.
100%. Did you ever see him when he was up here? Because we know, of course, he lived up here.
Yes, actually didn't. I think I ran into him once in the store, but I never hung out with him up here. I used to. There was a time, I think, when he finally was up here, he was very family oriented. Like his daughter was getting bigger, and when she was first born, we were out on the road the whole time for like almost 3 years or something, and. He never, he wasn't the kind of artist that bring the family along and the nanny and the this and that, and I used to ask him sometime, why don't they come? And he's like, they're in their own world, which made sense. He was like, why take your child and your wife or whatever out of their thing to come and sit on the freaking tour bus, for a week?
Like what kind of life?
Well,
right.
just to disrupt their own like world, what they're doing in their life, because you're out doing this and they're doing their thing, school or modeling or what, I don't know, whatever his family was getting up to. But he, once we stopped touring and that long period of time went by and he moved up here and he was really into his family life, which was really nice. When I would speak to him or we'd email or something, I'd be like, "What have you been up to?" And he'd be like, "I'm doing my charcoals
I love
and
it.
taking my daughter to school."
Love that.
And he loved that. Even
Yeah.
when we were rehearsing in the city, he'd be like, "It's 6:00. I'm going home for dinner."
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, he was very much into his family, which was a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't really hang out with him up
Did you
here
know he
very
was
much.
sick?
I did not.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So that came as a real shock.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was only a handful of people who knew about that.
Right. And not surprising from the things you know about David, I'm sure.
Yeah, it made sense in the end because
Mhm.
I knew that, I felt like he wasn't really the most sort of sentimental of, not sentimental is not the right word, but I knew that he wouldn't have wanted people like me or the other band members or like all the people who knew him to be like, oh my God, like he wouldn't want that energy to have interfered with what he had to do, which was to make one of the most amazing albums of his career with Black Star and do that play Lazarus, which would have opened like 10 years ago, like this past week or something. It had opened just before he died. He had a mission to go out like no other artist. I can't even imagine like creating and working right up until the minute you can't move another muscle.
And that's exactly what he did.
And that's exactly what he did.
And
right
how
up until
beautiful
his
to
death.
do it the way that he did it.
Brilliant.
And, I mean,
Brilliant.
do you remember your last correspondence?
It was just before, it was around Christmas time, just before his birthday. It was an email
Mm-hmm.
that I have kept.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little bit odd because it
Mhm.
wasn't like he was British, so he wasn't like a mushy kind of sentiment.
Right.
The British are a little bit more reserved, and not that he wasn't kind and nurturing and fun and loving. It's different than being sort of somebody who's kind of like sentimental, overly sentimental. And I had an email from him that said something like, I hope you have a good year or something. I love you.
Mm.
I will always be your friend.
Oh,
That was not something he would normally have in an email. And
Mhm.
it didn't dawn on me at the time. I just went, oh, that's really sweet.
right.
And then,
A couple
Then
of
he
weeks
was gone.
later. Yeah, because he died in January.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that
Wow.
was my cue. That was
Yeah.
my.
It's beautiful.
It
it's,
is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I loved him too. He was a good friend and a good person.
And he
and
saw you the way, like, that he just opened up this world that now people see you. I mean,
I know.
your fans are like
Oh my gosh.
crazy. You have Facebook groups of like people just,
I know.
they see you, they love you,
changed-
and
yeah.
they adore you. And a lot of that is like David Bowie.
A
Of
lot
course,
it is him,
you
of
spent
course.
a lot of time with Lenny Kravitz also,
Lenny,
traveled the world.
absolutely.
Any
No,
place that you haven't been to as far as touring?
I've never been to South Africa. I've always
Uh-huh.
wanted to go.
Really?
I-
I'm surprised that
No,
no,
I was
not one
always
of them.
meant to go on some things, and they never kind of came through.
Mhm.
And I've never really been to Africa. I've been with Lenny. We did a show in Morocco
Mhm. Okay.
or somewhere near Morocco.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've set foot on African on the
Continent.
continent of Africa. But it's not the Africa.
Right.
It's a different.
Right.
Northern Africa is very different than like Kenya or South Africa or Ghana or somewhere. So I would love to see another part of Africa at some point.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where exactly.
Mhm.
And I've never been to India.
Really?
No,
Huh.
I don't know.
I'm surprised. Like Bowie, I would think would have strong ties to India.
Well, he's probably been there.
Yeah,
and I know
but not to
I know
tour.
he used to go to Bali and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to tour. No.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Thailand. I went there with Gwen Stefani.
Oh, that's right. You
one
played
and
with
only
her.
time I
Oh my
was
goodness!
in Bangkok.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there's Gwen in there. There's Seal. is in
Man.
there. I've been-
Man, oh man, this beautiful career of yours, Gail.
Oh my gosh, I know.
You must look back and just be, are you ever going to write a book?
No, I don't think so.
No? No.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would really say in a book, but yeah, no, I think about that a lot now because I wonder what's left in the future in terms of, I really made a conscious decision at the beginning of COVID, which is when I decided to not return to Lenny Kravitz. Just, I turned 60 and I was like, I would love to make another record. I'd like to do some of my own music. I don't know maybe years ago it's like, I had ideas or dreams about what it would be or could be. I just need to express myself at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what will come of it. I don't know if it will be prosperous. I don't know if people will care. It doesn't matter. I just need to get this next album done.
Which is going to be called?
It's going to be called The Appearance of Life. It's because, I feel like where we are now in the world, it's kind of the corporate world part two. When I wrote The Corporate World, it was like, it was that time when the corporate world was a thing, like the 80s. It was like everybody had money and there was cocaine, it was parties, it was business, and Wall Street. There was this whole sort of era about and I always as a kid used to think, I would be honest, I was a little late to voting.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I could vote, I was like, I don't really believe
Mm-hmm.
that the presidents and the people that we put in office, that we really, really put them there in the end. I think it's the corporations that do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I was always a conspiracy theorist kind of kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of where a lot of the corporate world came from. And it's also all the stuff with toxic waste and all these things that corporations were just so ugly to me. And the appearance of life is kind of, to me, the extension of that, in that it's more of, the songs are more based on what is the residue of that?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we as human beings now with the sort of the residue of that, the last years, the last decades of corporations, and how massive they've become and how much they control.
And it's only getting worse.
And it's only getting worse, and it's accelerating at a really rapid pace. And so I'm kind of working on songs now that are, based on that. And I've put out my first single last month for the first time in 21 years.
Yay! Which
And
we are
even-
going to play.
Yeah, it's called It Takes All Kinds to Make a World. And even though that isn't like the first, there's a kind of setting to the songs. This would be the very first song you're going to hear on the album, which is the kind of, just the sort of optimistic opening of, yep, this is what we need to do. We need to come together. We need to learn to tolerate each other, because if we don't get more unified as people in a positive way, we'll never defeat the dark things that are coming,
Mm-hmm.
that we're living in, that
Mhm.
have been, the things that have affected our life, the system, the way we live, the way we struggle unnecessarily because of money, because of power, because of corporations, because of because of greed, and all this,
I was
and
just gonna
ego,
say that.
and insanity. There's
Yeah.
a part of it there's some insanity up at the top level of people who are in control of our lives and the system in which we have to navigate to survive, like as people, just comfortably. There's enough for everybody. I'm
Mhm.
sure of it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
but there's just so many people getting pushed out, and
Mhm.
so taking all kinds to make a world is just the first step. Imagine if we can just we can tolerate each other, learn empathy, learn acceptance, learn we're not all the same. Yeah, there's
Thankfully.
always going to be exactly that's a really good thing.
Right.
But there is something that unifies all of us, and if we could all connect to that instead of being affected by all of the things that tell us this side is like that, and these people are like that, and those people are like that, and you don't want them in your neighborhood, and you don't. I mean, I've already lived through all of that, and it was my mother that taught me that kind of tolerance. My mother did not understand anything about my life, how I could be, she was a black woman who was born in a small town in Virginia in 1921.
Wow.
So imagine what she has seen in this world and what she had to live through. A lot of it that she never ever told me about because she didn't want to talk about it.
Wow.
But, I was a kid who was like raised in a 100% black neighborhood in West Philly. There were no white people that lived anywhere in our little neighborhood. And if you went to South Philly, the Italians had that part. And if you went over here, the Jewish people had that. Everybody had a different neighborhood. And it was very clear you don't cross those boundaries in those days. And that used to piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, why was the really nice library in that neighborhood that's 3 blocks up there where I'm not supposed to go because I'm black?
Mm-hmm.
And, I was kind of not adventurous. I was brave. I would just do it.
Mhm.
I'd go up there and I'd get chased and I'd get called names and I'd get bottles thrown at me. I've been through my share of that kind of stuff. And I just thought at some point in my life that's going to get better. But we're
It's
going backwards
backwards.
now, and it's so sad.
It is.
Really, as a kid, I thought, okay, this is where we are, but we fight against that. And I had white friends because of music. Music was one of those things that brings everybody together.
Yeah.
No matter where they come from or what they do, how rich they are or poor they are. It's like when you connect with other musicians and you start speaking that language, there's no color.
There isn't.
There's no age.
There isn't.
There's no nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's just, wow, we're in this magical space and we're communicating.
And that's one of the things I say about seeing live music also.
Absolutely.
It is where we're all just connected and we are just all speaking one language.
Absolutely.
And we're feeling it and we're feeling the other energy and it's just uniting. It is, you leave happy.
And
you leave
yeah,
happy.
Yeah. And we need more venues. We need more live music. And we also need to put the phone down.
Mm-hmm.
That is also like a huge
And look at what we have as far as venues here in the Hudson Valley.
and more coming.
And you travel all over the world.
Absolutely.
There is such a mecca here in this area that any night of the week, go support live music. I mean, you don't have to go that far to see amazing musicians.
So
and
true.
also go see musicians maybe you haven't heard of.
That's right.
Because there's a whole lot of great music out there that's undiscovered.
I agree. But yeah, there is nothing like that. So that's why I left film school. I said to myself, you know, I might be sitting here in an editing room for weeks and I don't have any communication with anybody and I'm trying to work on some, you know, editing a movie. But when I walk on a stage and I play, whether I'm, not doing so good that night or whatever, I'm getting immediate feedback.
Mm-hmm.
For my energy that I'm putting out, I'm getting response. With film, it was this, like, you're waiting those years to get your movie made. Like,
and in a dark room by yourself, too.
Yeah, and you get no, you don't, I guess I'm just a person that needs to have that interaction more immediate than something that I'm just sort of waiting and hoping and wishing for 10 years
and then maybe not, who knows?
Maybe it turns out that somebody directs my movie and they do a horrible job at it. And they change everything that I've, so I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to take
your
that
path
risk.
Was exactly where you were supposed to be and
think so.
are.
And so, live music is just saved my life, and it can save everybody's life if they
I think so
engage
too.
in that. But yeah, definitely like be in the moment as well. Like the whole videoing and pictures and things, it's all great.
It's so important to remember that, I've only recently on air gone public about my illness for the past year. But what it has taught me is to be present.
Absolutely.
And to look someone in the eye and to have that conversation and to really focus my mind in this moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I guess the theme of my new record is kind of, like I said, it's kind of where have we come? Where are we now as people in the corporate world?
Well, I've played it here several times. I'm thrilled to be playing it here with you now. Let us take a breath and let's take a listen to Gail Ann Dorsey's brand new single just released. It Takes All Kinds to Make a World off the forthcoming album from the upcoming year. Let's take a listen to this right here, right now, 91.3.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Do you reach for the sword or the patience of the great divine? Picture a time of solution. See the possibilities. Hear the wisdom of ages. Come out of the cage and be free. It takes all kinds to make a world, not just any world, but a world of love.
it takes all kinds to make a world, not just any world, but a world of love. It takes all kinds to shape a world. Give and take the world as it comes, as it comes. 'Before we can understand togetherness, we've gotta learn what it means to be a part of this amazing work of art that is a lifetime, our lifetime. Aware enough to care enough, it takes all kinds to make a world, not just any world, but a world of love, love, love. It takes all kinds now to make a world, shape this world. It takes all.
91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Please, Gail, remind us of what we just heard.
It's called "It Takes All Kinds to Make a World." It's my newest single. The album is scheduled to come out in the spring of next year. It'll be called "The Appearance of Life," and we're going to release a second single from that album too next month.
Oh, and what's that
Okay.
called?
It's called Maybelline.
Maybelline. I think I heard you play Maybelline.
Yes,
Yes.
Maybelline. Yeah, I won't give away the
No,
the
you say what you
story of
need to
that
say,
matter.
and that's it. But just stay tuned. And by the way, Gail has a website, GailAnnDorsey.com.
Yes.
Also, the socials of Instagram and Facebook. Yes.
I'm not sure. I kind of have a little bit of a social media team because I can't spend too much time
Right.
dealing with all that. But I'm not
Well,
sure
you
if
have
they
hundreds
have
of
me on-
thousands of followers too.
I have a few.
Yeah.
I have a few. I'm almost up to like 75,000 on Instagram, which is pretty.
Oh, I think
pretty
you.
amazing on
Don't you have-
Instagram. No, on Facebook I'm in the 100 something.
Yeah, yeah.
But Instagram is like 75, and that actually amazes me. I'm like, what? Because I don't do that much on it, but
Right.
it's interesting that I'm thankful that people care enough to
To
follow me.
Yeah. Well,
And hopefully we can double that by this time next year. And
because you're going to have this new album
have a
out,
new
and
album.
hopefully, people will buy directly from you, buy
Yes,
your music.
eventually we're going to set up a merch thing on the website,
Mhm.
because it's really, really difficult for musicians to make a living these days.
Yeah.
Even me,
Yeah.
people might think I'm doing well off, but I'm out there it's like starting all over again
Sure.
right now because
Sure.
the industry has changed so drastically since when I started making records or being a part of that system. I don't even recognize it. I have from day to day, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So, one thing is merchandise, and also, I hope that people will go back to buying CDs and more vinyl
Right.
and even cassettes. If there's a demand for it, there will be machines again. People say, I
Absolutely.
don't have a CD player. It's like, oh, I don't have a. But, if people started wanting to play CDs, believe me, they will make CD
They'll make
players.
CDs again. Look at vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl.
Look at vinyl was
Turntables have come back. All kinds
15,
of
20 years
turntables.
ago wasn't so much vinyl.
No.
Now it's
And
everybody's
that's a,
asking
and that's
for
a
it.
good thing because that helps us to keep making the music that people want to hear.
Right.
You know.
So go support artists.
Yes.
Buy from them. You have a Patreon page.
Yes, it's been a little bit quiet lately because it's just been a time factor of trying to fulfill all of the duties of Patreon.
Right.
It still exists. I haven't been charging people yet until I can kind of get my system back together. But there is a Patreon, that Gail Ann Dorsey Patreon. Patreon/Gail Ann Dorsey. Ann is without an E.
Yes.
Gail.
Yes.
ANN. And Dorsey, like the famous Dorsey brothers, even though they're not, no relation.
No relation.com. Gail, you also have some shows coming up.
I do. This Saturday I'm going to be in New York City at the Ethical Culture
Society for Ethical Culture.
Society for Ethical Culture. It's on like 64th and Central Park West. I'll be there with Joan Osborne, doing some beautiful Bob Dylan songs. She's been doing a tour called Dylanology for a while. We did a run in June, and this is a little show they've tagged on for the end of the year, which is going to be really fun.
And you have a sold-out show, which, sorry, folks, it is sold out, but it is a beautiful event that you do yearly when you're in town and you're able to. It's at Lee Von Helm Studios in Woodstock.
Yes, the Sounding Joy, which is just wonderful. We've been doing that. Yeah, been doing that for quite a few years now. That's at Lee Von Helm Studios on
Woodstock,
the 20th.
New York. Yes, on Saturday the 20th with Natalie Merchant, Amy Helm, Marco Benevento, Kate Pearson, and Josh Kaufman.
I know. Wow. I'm excited about that.
Wow.
We're going to be playing It Takes All Kinds to Make a World. I'm doing it with the band. Which is
you
very
are?
exciting. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
wow.
it's gonna be
Oh my
fun.
gosh. And then I think every January, and you tell me if
Yes.
I'm wrong, you do David Bowie shows
Yes, it's
to
called
commemorate him.
It's the Sound and Vision of David Bowie. We've been doing since he passed away, a group of different musicians who have been part of Bowie's bands or plays or whatever he's done over the last, 50 years. We all some of us, we get together and we play his music, and it's not a tribute band. It's different. I'm one of the singers. There's different singers. But it's just all of, some of us have worked together in different bands with him. Some of us I never worked with when they were with him in a different band, like Carmen Rojas, for example, who played on Let's Dance or whatever. He's been playing bass for the last couple of years. This year we have Tony Levin playing bass. Tony's coming to play with us.
Really?
I know. I'm so excited because
Wow.
Carmen can't do it.
And so that's going to be
That's
January 8th through 11th. Now,
And they're all sold out.
except for one.
Nope, I just heard this
Sold
morning.
out. Okay, so
100% sold out.
January 8th through
9th,
11th.
10th, and 11th at the Cutting Room in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And it is a fun gig.
I
Suzanne
bet.
Vega's coming to join us.
Oh, wow.
We've had Michael C. Hall, who is that Dexter actor. He was on some of the early shows with us. Catherine Russell will be there. And we just play, his songs. And the audience is really a part of that show.
Mm-hmm.
They come so that we all can sing together, and we all can cry together, and we can all laugh together and just really enjoy his music. And
Right.
there's been so many tributes for Bowie, and I've been asked to be a part of so many different things and asked to sing Under Pressure again, which unfortunately I will never do again as long as I live.
Good for you.
But it's just, it's something I think he would enjoy.
Mhm.
Every time we do it, I swear I can feel his energy just smiling down on us and just being
Thank
part
you.
and being part of the fun. And because we all loved him so much. And he all offered so much to all of the musicians who come up on that stage. Whether they worked with him once or 20 times, or it's a beautiful mixture of people, and they're all like the best at what they do. of
So
course.
this is the thing, folks, and I'm one to have to listen to this myself, is when you see these shows go on sale, don't wait.
Jump in,
Don't wait.
especially the Cutting Room shows.
Yeah,
They
because they're so
always go.
tiny, intimate.
Yeah, it's 300 seater, maybe
Yeah.
350 if that, and then of course it's packed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just this morning had the text.
Because when I
We're
looked and I
100%
printed this out, it
Yeah.
was like a day or two ago.
One day was
It was one day that was open, and now
And
it's
that's-
not.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Just heard this morning that we're 100%
So
sold
if
out.
someone wants to see you, I'm going to guess the only opportunity possibly would be this Saturday in New
This-
York City.
That would be really good.
with Jonah
Yeah,
Osborne
I
and
do a couple of
Dylanology.
songs on my own there.
And that was fun because I saw that show in Tarrytown in June when
Right.
you were there
That's right.
with her. And And what a fun show.
It's great.
Really, really great
Yeah, I
show.
love
So
Joan.
if folks are even here, go to the city. Are you kidding? Gail and Joan, hello. This Saturday, the 13th, Gail Ann Dorsey.
And there is a wait
.com.
list apparently for the Sounding Joy. So
Okay,
maybe
sometimes.
yeah,
And things
it
happen.
opens up,
and
so.
things really do happen. People last minute, there's always no shows, or there's always people that have to cancel last minute for
Sure.
whatever reason. And yeah, but I'm like so looking forward to. Just know that I'm going to buy your new album when it comes out, both on vinyl and CD,
Right on.
and I'm going to wear it out because that's what I used to be, which is, look at, I mean, it's totally broken.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
all like,
I need to get you a new one.
but it's proof that it's been in my car.
I know that feeling. I have some of my vinyl that I played as a kid. Oh my God, it's just ragged. It's
Ragged.
just worn.
And here's
down and
another story I
torn
just
and-
want to tell with listeners listening that people know how much I adore your music and you as a human being, that when my daughter for my 60th a year ago bought me a turntable, she not only bought me my first album, which was Carole King, she bought a Corporate World for me right with that album.
That's beautiful.
And I was just like tears coming out of my
That's
eyes,
beautiful.
like, wow. So that just goes to show, folks.
Wow, well, thank you, Rita.
GailAnnDorsey.com. We're going to
so
play
much.
one more track. Would you talk about this, please, with Dar?
Yeah. Another artist that I played with in the early 2000s was Dar Williams, who I hadn't really heard of before then. And she's become a good friend, and I'm a huge fan of her songwriting. I feel like I'm a student. I'm actually reading her book about songwriting right now, which is, she's one of the best. And we're actually kind of label mates now. We're both on Righteous Babe Records.
Congratulations with Ani DeFranco.
Yes,
yeah.
with Ani. And Dar she just put out a new record this year, which is really beautiful, called Hummingbird Highway. But a couple of years ago, actually it was maybe just before the pandemic, I had a message from Dar to come and sing a duet with her that was recorded here at Applehead, which is in Bearsville.
Mm-hmm.
And Larry Campbell, one of my guitar heroes, and I know one of yours too, Rita, who was your first guest here on this show.
Yes.
Larry was producing this song for Dar, and it's called Time Be My Friend. And it's, again, to me, it's one of Dar's classic, shows that her talent and her skill as a songwriter is just, it always sort of inspires me. And she's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought we played Time Be My Friend. I'm playing bass on it, and I'm singing a duet with Dar.
Wonderful. Let's take a listen to this right here, right now with Gail Ann Dorsey on 91.3 WVKR.
Time, be my friend, be my friend. Though I have not been so kind to you, always asked where you were going, though you had no way of knowing, oh no time, I have not been kind to you. Time, meet me here, I'll meet you here, and we'll go walking for a little while. And I know what I will say. I know there's only now and yesterday. Oh, time, I'll meet you here. Cause when I thought that I was alone, you snapped your fingers and a tree came into bloom, and the sun came by to fill my room. Oh, time, you will never tell walking down that wide country road. And I will be your brave companion, your adventurous D'Artagnan. I will be your best receiver, your goldenest retriever. I'll remember what you taught me and those treasures that you brought me. Most of all, a lifetime of friends. It came together when I asked you to be one of them. Oh, time, be my friend. 'Cause when I thought that I was alone, you snapped your fingers and a tree came into bloom, and the sun came by to fill my room. Oh, time, you'll never tell me something that has not happened yet. You will never make a promise, but I can get just what I get. You will never say you love me. You will never say you love me. You will never say you love me, but let's see what's round the bend.
.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. The lovely and talented Dar Williams. Time, be my friend, with today's guest, Gail Ann Dorsey. Gail, it has been so lovely,
Yes,
and
thank you, Rita.
and I just so appreciate your time and being here, and
I
just
appreciate being asked to be here. You
Oh,
know,
my
it's
goodness.
It's an honor, and I'm a big radio fan, and you know I love you. You're an amazing person, too.
thank
and
you. Thank
I
you.
appreciate so much the support you've given me ever since we've known each other.
It's been a lovely time knowing you, your music. When I just these different shows, you know, I've never seen you with David Bowie or Lenny Kravitz, like all these big shows that you're known for, like you
Right.
know, your 100 and something thousand fans know you from.
Exactly.
I know you from Kingston, you know,
Ah, it's better.
right? And I know you from like I don't know Opus 40, where I just
Yeah.
like heard you for the first time do Netherland, and I'm like, what am I seeing
Yeah,
with
when-
a band? And it was
yeah,
so
it was fun.
cool.
That was a great show.
That
was
was
really fun this summer.
So fun. So I
Yeah,
look
you-
forward to your new album coming out in
Thank you.
2026. I
Yes.
really cannot wait, and hopefully some shows that are tied to that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're starting to line up some things for the summer already.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
that's
good.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. No, I appreciate it, and yeah, and I did have a couple of other songs, folks, that I was going to play. But when you have Gail Ann Dorsey sitting in the studio, you devote an entire 2-hour show to her,
Oh, wow.
and you
Time has gone so quickly.
and you just do it. And by the way, I also want to say that if you're just tuning in or you're coming in late, this show will be uploaded tonight on the YouTube channel. I'll throw it on a Spotify channel, although I'm anti all that, but because it's Gail, I'll do that. And I know people search for you on platforms like that. So it's going to be under LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR, and I will share YouTube links of this conversation and this whole 2-hour broadcast, because it's been truly an honor to have you here.
Thank
And I am in awe of your talent, but I am more in awe of you as a human being.
Oh, thank you.
Your kindness, your grace, your generosity. You are a gift to us all, and
Thank you.
you really truly are. And really, one of my greatest musical honors is to know you, and to when I see you, you say hi, Rita, and that just is amazing to me. And that you played like that benefit concert for me was a musical highlight. Also,
That was
that you
a
played.
Great night.
and just giving of your time, and just like thank you for everything, and
You're
thank you
welcome.
for making this music, because you make us all feel a lot better when you're
Wow.
playing and when you're singing.
That's
And
the idea.
you
Music
sing like an
is-
angel. So folks, she did this version of Alfie, which is Dionne Warwick, right?
Dionne Warwick, yes.
She
it's
did
a
that
Burt
at
Bacharach song.
my gosh, she did that at my benefit.
Yeah.
Tears in the eyes. Your voice is angelic. You were describing somebody else. Oh, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
What you said about Olivia Newton-John, I say to you about you.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that's a big honor. She's another one I miss.
Yeah.
That we've lost.
Yeah.
Wonderful human being as well.
Was she? Yeah.
Oh, she was a wonderful soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
God bless her.
It is, truly an honor. So I'm going to go out with this. What are we going out with? Simple Wish, because I have the time for it.
Yeah,
and
so
then we have time because Dr. J is in the house. So we have 3 minutes. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole song.
Well, you
But
can get through a little
I
bit.
will, again, was there anything else I missed or that you wanted to say, Gail, that we didn't talk about?
Well, I just want to say that this song, "Simple Wish," I recorded it with a friend of mine from high school.
Oh,
My friend Sean Kimball. We went to Radnor High School together, and we both played music when we were in high school. And he was a very kind and loving soul, which he still is. He and his wife, who both went to Radnor together, and Sean just wanted to do a song, even though he's not a working musician at all at this point in his life.
love that.
He wanted to make a song because he needed to put something positive into the world as well. And I said, you know what, Sean, I will sing with you and I will play bass on it. And this is the song that he chose to do, which is a simple wish about being kind.
Wow, goes a long way. Thank you again. I'll be back next week. Oh, it's my last show of the year next week. I will have Will Hermes on. He wrote a book, the Lou Reed book. He is a music critic and writer for Rolling Stone and goes on NPR and lives in the area. And we've got that. So end of year local motion show next week. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I am. And again, beyond grateful for you, Gail Ann Dorsey.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. Until next time, I wish you all peace.